Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your curated source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I'm your host, Adam Portress, and joining me today, he mutes his mic between drags, Sweet Sean Kovacs from the internet.
That's not true entirely.
And his internet went out, but he would be our raging bipedal turtle, Bruce Leslie. Aw. Bruce had a little internet outage and stuff, so I don't think he's going to end up joining us unless something spectacular happens. But who knows? The internet's full of all kinds of magical wonder. But we are back, everybody. This week we are talking about the new French superhero film. Oh, how many times have we said that on this podcast? It almost seems cliche.
I'm tired of you saying it.
I was like, another French superhero film? I say. It's called Smoking Causes Coughing. It's available on VOD right now. And if you've never heard of it, if you know nothing about it, you're pretty close to how we all were when we saw this sucker. But we're going to talk about all that a little bit later. But before we do want to say a thank you to the people that support the show over at patreon.com/HMP. Those awesome people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, and of course, they get to vote on a movie that we watch every month. And we got to figure out, I just realized that right now. I'm like, man, We got that coming right on up here, so we got to come up with a couple of those soon. And if you would like to get the ability, the power within your grasp to steer the USS HMP, head on over to patreon.com/HMP. Doesn't matter what level you support at. If it's $1, $5, we got people $20 above sometimes. It is whatever is good for you. Whatever you feel this show is worth to you, whatever you would pay to keep this show coming back Monday after Monday, make it happen.
May I make a suggestion here?
Mm-hmm.
If we've got a boat, if HMP has a boat, it should be the HMS HMP.
HMS HMP. That's fair.
Yeah.
I almost want to get a boat just to christen it. Be fun. Maybe a dinghy.
Is that supposed to be dirty?
You know, it was not intentional to be, and then you're not wrong after that. I was kind of like, that sounds a little bit, doesn't it? And then I threw in dinghy.
That sounds salty.
I threw in dinghy in there, so that doesn't help. That doesn't help my case at all either. So patreon.com/HMP is essentially what I'm trying to say. If you can't do that, join us over on the iTunes. Give us a 5-star review, a.k.a. Humdinger.
Humdinger.
You can do that on the Spotify as well. So leave reviews wherever you can. Subway walls, bathrooms, whatever. Just grab a Sharpie, start throwing up 5 stars, and writing Humdinger on stuff and see what happens. I don't know.
I love this idea.
Yeah, vandalism. Vandalism's always it's always just a heartbeat away. And if somebody else does it, then it's not our fault. We're not the ones actually doing it. So I don't think legally we can be held accountable. Is that
kick a trash can over, yell Humdinger?
Yeah. I want to see this trend on Twitter. Kick over a public trash can and scream Humdinger and run away. Post that up on the Instagrams and we'll be good to go. Patreon.com/HMP is what I'm trying to say. Let's go ahead and do it. I have a trailer. It's in French, but I feel like people kind of just need to hear the vibe of what this thing is. Here's the trailer.
It's almost worthless in an audio medium to do that.
No, it wasn't. It was hilarious. It was funny. All right, listen. I was going to do that because we can't do this.
It's time for Bruce's Comic Book Connection.
Everything's falling apart. There's no trailer. Bruce is here. Oh, wait. Bruce is not here. Okay. Did you know that France has a long history of comic books?
Asterix.
They've got that, what's the Tintin fella? We covered that on this podcast way back when.
We sure have.
So France has a long history of comics. They come in French, and if they come
Batroc the Leaper is French.
If they come over here, often those books are then translated into English as to make it easier for English-speaking folks to read. But you correct me if I'm wrong on this, Sean. Those books those aren't like the anime books. Those go traditional left to right like we normally read here in the United States. Is that correct?
On I think the one time ever that I bought a French comic book, I think you're right.
I'm going to say
I remember you being correct.
It's traditional. Otherwise, you can't go Pulp Fiction in like those like the anime books. Don't start at the end. It's gonna mess you all up. Unless you're one of those people that likes reading that in. So what do they say? You read the last page, so if you die, you know how the book ends?
Yeah, that's Billy Crystal and When Harry Met Sally.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's been a lot of Harry Met Sally over on HMP over the last couple of months between this and we had another episode, and then there was the one with Harley Quinn. Or we
Well,
referenced
I
that
always
yet
bring
again.
up the fact. I always bring up the fact that Billy Crystal destroyed it for all white guys everywhere by mentioning the white man overbite when they're dancing.
Yeah.
And nobody can do that anymore. So I'm trying to bring it back. The white guy overbite when you're dancing.
Overbite simulated boxing.
Yep.
Just kind of like I'm just fighting just a kind of a
Yep.
a very short ghost.
That's right. I enjoy doing that, and
Come
I'm
on.
going to start doing it again.
Come on, short ghost. Yeah, like I think
It's been 30 years. We can do it again.
I think we just need to embrace our whiteness, just lean into it. Just lean into being the bad dancer and the kind of just, like
It's all going to be okay.
I'm just going to dance in here. We're going to have a mayonnaise sandwich. It's going to be A-okay. How's that for a comic connection?
I think that's wonderful. I want to bring something up before we get into it. Oh, but you've got your thing, don't you?
Oh yes, if that amazing comic book connection that we just pulled out of a well prepared sack of preparedness, if that wasn't enough, let me sell everybody on this French Power Rangers movie with blood and cursing, because this sucker's got everything. We got car riding, binoculars borrowing, head butting, jump kicking, arms to the sky with maniacal laughter, salami talk, giving cancer to Gamera, Mercury self-doubt, blood and guts everywhere, blood splatters everywhere, robot butler, laundry talk, clean peeing, jug adjusting, rat Bosley puppet, a plan to destroy the world, but first, a forced vacation / team building trip. Yeah. Dramatic music about how much God loves smoking Havana cigars. Does he now? I'm not understanding that. But it turns out that's a song that's playing on a radio, because don't worry about it. That's all fine. We've got self-driving van, photo ops, French Robert De Niro circa 1992, silver underpants, white underpants, gold underpants, blue underpants. Look, no underpants at all. What's the over-under for how many times I said underpants in this episode? Bet it wasn't 6. Underpants. We head to the lake. Robot suicide. There's a lady in the fridge. Rat in the bed with a human lady. Gather around the fire. We got groundhog blasting, scary storytelling. So we flash back to another group of people all together. That's right. It's an undercover anthology movie. We got a movie screen math, helmet head, white people dancing, inner monologues, hammerhead, screwdriver to the eye, axe to the head, Mike Myers vision, hiding in a pool, high-waisted pants are back in, and I'm all about it. Pool killing, girls for the woods, fighting a giant cockroach kind of thing. It's rubber. Little Greta Thunberg Jr. sleeping with helmets on. Lady in the fridge isn't having any. Green goo talking barracuda. Another story. It's about a boy and a grinder. Well, this won't end well, or will it? Bucket brigade, smoking lips, throwing up, a doorbell ringing. Oopsie, dinner's ruined. Turns out all the chicks you want to bang this rat guy. My favorite quote of this entire thing is, he's not a robot. Or he's a robot. He's not a calculator. I screwed that up. One last story. Lizard people. I knew it all along. Robot countdown. Galactic soup. A plan to save the day. You know where this is going. That's right. Rat love. This movie's got everything.
I have got to congratulate you on finding this. One of the things that I really want to start to lean into is the stuff that no one else is doing. And this French movie that's basically the Power Rangers, but there's smoking involved in it, is definitely it. And when I looked around, because I was scratching around to see what other people thought of this movie, there is a New York Times article about this movie, which I just found shocking. I found it so shocking. And it's one of those things where I think that if this was made in America, like, there's no way it would have the pedigree that this movie does, but because it wasn't, it was made in France. It has an article in the New York Times. And this is one of the dumbest, but funny, but dumb movies we've ever seen.
Yeah, it's silly.
It is. It's very silly. It is blessedly short. I think that if this movie was an hour and a half, it would have become torturous, but it's not. And as a matter of fact, I think it's 80 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's not long.
It is not a long movie. As I was saying off air, it's one of those movies where you have literally no idea where this thing is going.
Yeah, hour 17, so just under actually.
And so it's one of those things where it's probably not most of the HMPers cup of tea, but it is interesting to watch. And another thing that we mentioned earlier is that it's a lot like, it has that same feel of Italian Spider-Man, although Italian Spider-Man is so well done that those guys got their own TV show after that short came out. And I don't think that this is as good as Italian Spider-Man.
I think they're very different in a lot of ways, to
Yes.
be sure. So this is from the director Quentin Dupois. I'm going to say that as Frenchy as I can. I'm sure it's probably
Yeah, I'm
still
gonna
wrong.
pronounce it Dupois. So
But he did, like, I think most people would probably, like, his big splash in 2010 was Rubber, a murder a slasher about a tire that
And-
rolls around and kills people.
so I didn't realize it was that far back. So he's been making movies since what did you say, 10?
2010, his first. I don't know how long this movie is. Let's see how long this. That's a 3-minute. I think that may be his first feature. No, non-film is his first. 2002 was his first feature at $1.15.
Wow.
So yeah, he's
I did-
getting at it. He did a movie called Steak in 2017 or 2007 rather, and then Rubber was his big hit.
And then after Rubber lands, he can basically do what he can make the movies he wants to make.
Yeah, I know, and it's funny because Magnet is the same company that distributed Rubber back in 2010. So this is the same company. I don't know if his subsequent films that are between Rubber and this, like Deerskin, was probably the other big one. I'm not sure. Like I think.
Well, we'll get into that later.
No,
but
different thing altogether.
So are you a fan of the movie Rubber? Because I'm guessing you've seen it.
Yeah, I saw it. I hated it. I thought it was a piece of crap.
Oh, so you don't like it at all?
No, I was just like, okay, I like the premise. It's fun, but it like even so, another one that's not too long. It felt way too long to me. It's like this is like a good 15-minute film, a 20-minute
Right.
film if you make it interesting. But to drag it out to $1.20 it was too much spread too thin.
That premise feels so much like Murder Bed, the bed that murders people,
Yeah.
or whatever the name of that movie is. And it for about 10 minutes, everybody was like, "Oh man, this movie's so funny because it's so bad," and then the entire thing went away because it doesn't hold up, right? I mean, it's an hour and a half long movie, and it just doesn't hold up.
Yeah, and unless it's like something that's like so bad that it's good, like your Mac and Me's, because Mac and Me is an ET also ran, but like
Right.
it's so bad that it's just and it's just competent enough that it
Right.
like skates that great line of like it's bad, but I also kind of enjoy it because it's bad.
Well, it also has that thing that Rich Evans from Red Letter Media has said, which is that it keeps surprising you with how it's bad. Like it's bad in different ways.
Yeah,
Whereas I'm guessing that something like Rubber is on purpose and is winking at the camera, whereas Mac and Me is not.
no, they came after that Mac and Me. They wanted to make $1 million. They wanted to make that ET money, and because ET was just there forever, and they were like, "We can do that." ET's been like, it was like I don't think people understand. It was literally #1 at the box office for like
A year.
20, 60 weeks, like on and off. Like it would lose #1 spot and then go back a week or two later. It was kind of just unreal the tear that movie was on. So they were like, "Oh, we're gonna make one of those." But it doesn't.
E.T. was such a big movie that I saw that movie with my parents twice. My parents have never been to the movie theater to see a movie twice.
That's
ever.
Steven Spielberg, boy. You get him in the seats.
Yes, you do.
But this movie, like it feels like at least there's characters involved in this one, and we have dialogue. Because Rubber was like it was a silent film, but again, I don't know that he like it didn't feel like he understood the kind of while silent films are, yes, indeed silent, they are still always telling a story as they are going along and being interesting as to tell that story. And that rubber just didn't work for me at that. So at least this, we have characters that are speaking dialogue, and I was at least grateful for that.
So let me ask you this. What do you think he had first? Do you think he had the idea of French Power Rangers first? Or did he have the idea of breaking up this movie into segments?
Yeah, I think this was it was an anthology and look in search of a story.
Yeah.
I think, or possibly, which also sometimes happens, as I think people know, you have some sets or costumes or something laying over, or you've designed something and then go, okay, here's this. Let's design something around these outfits, or like these giant monster costumes. We have access to that, or we can make these, or whatever. I feel like, oh gosh, because it's tough to say, because there's a gore factor in each one of our kind of stories, be they our surrounding story or the stories that are told by our characters. There's a gore factor to each one of them, which is nice. So it always
but the gore isn't realistic in any way.
No,
like I mean, the gore is like Psycho Goreman. I mean, it's that level of gore.
Yeah, you're just literally cartoonish buckets of blood on people,
right.
And when you see someone that's being eaten up by a crusher machine, you don't,
a thresher.
You don't go like, oh my god. Well, you do, but not like, you're not disgusted, because again, it's cartoonish, over the top kind of thing. It's not.
It also super helps that guy is like, I'm fine.
Yeah, he's not screaming. He's not in pain or anything. Yeah, you see a guy who's just getting, eaten up by a thresher, just going like, no, it's okay, we're good.
It's not so bad, actually.
It was. I wrote down in my notes here that this was the new Just a Scratch going on.
Yes, definitely. I mean, there's no way that that entire segment is not lifted from Monty Python, because that is literally the whole point of that scene, is that he is completely unhurt every time that he gets an arm or a leg chopped off.
So yeah, that idea, everybody was like, the story is the lady is called over, hey, there's been an accident, and this guy has gotten himself in the thresher, and we got to figure out how to reverse the thresher. Unfortunately, no one knows how to hit the reverse button, or what the reverse button is, or what order that goes in. So instead of making it go backwards, it always goes forward, continuing to eat this man alive, and his look on his face the entire time is like, that's okay. That's fine.
So did you recognize anyone from this movie?
Not outright, no.
I didn't either, which is kind of surprising, only because a lot of the same actors. France uses a lot of the same actors, but it's sort of like the BBC that way, where once you see somebody on a BBC show, you will see them somewhere else later. And yeah. France is kind of similar with their movies, where this person is one of our like does a lot of comedies, like that kind of thing. Mm. But for some reason, it just didn't link up at all. And so like with the lead Power Ranger is surprising, because that guy clearly has been around for a long time.
Yeah, he like I said, he looks like 90s era, like Jackie Brown era of Robert De Niro. Like that kind of like that. He looks like that age De Niro. He looks like kind of De Niro.
He's sloppy French De Niro, because he is sloppy, whereas De Niro is not a sloppy.
No, not quite. Maybe like early 2000s De Niro was a little sloppier.
and the what do you call an African American?
He's a black guy. He's a black guy.
He's a black guy.
That's what
the black guy in who plays Mercury in the movie. That guy's mouth cannot contain all his teeth.
I love that guy. He looks like a cartoon character in the best way. And they treat him like a cartoon character as well, because he's like Charlie Brown in this. He is always getting dumped on. Nobody wants to hear his story. His wife and kids are bored by his story. Like, the guy can't catch a break to save his life. It's so great.
But my favorite character in the movie is the voice of the robot. Because the robot itself looks like a Power Rangers robot to me. where in America that voice would be like hi 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 hi, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But in France, the character is very subdued. It's not like it's depressed, like it's please bring a towel, Hitchhiker's Guide.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of just a matter of fact robot, which I just found so funny, where like when it's speaking to people, it's just very normal.
And it's always taking its time to compute everything because its system is so slow. So it's just
Yes.
kind of like, hi.
So even when
How's
they
it
get the
going?
new one, because the old one commits suicide because it's been programmed to do so.
But they don't know that. That's the best part is that gets out of the car. They're like, finally, we're here on our vacation thing. And the first thing the robot does is get out, drive, walk out to the pier, and then just drive straight off and commit suicide. You're like, what?
Right.
So then you go to your van and pick up the phone and call your chief, who just happens to be a talking rat.
That constantly has green slime dripping out of his mouth for some reason.
Because it's character trait. Like they literally make it a character trait within the actual show itself of like, oh yeah, that's what he does. Got that green stuff hanging out of his mouth all the time. We never say that he's a rat. We never talk about, as far as we're concerned, that's a person.
And he is a ladies' man because every time we see him every time they call him again, like on a new day, there's a different lady in his bed every single time. Human lady,
yeah,
which is great.
Human lady, he gets, and he's a rat. But
he is a rat puppet.
Oh yeah, a crude rat puppet that barely like goes along with its actual dialogue. It's kind of
literally looks like Splinter with a jumpsuit on. I mean, that's literally what he looks like.
But he's in here and he's giving you these little directions and stuff. He's very serious. He's very serious, this rat. Yeah. His little tiny beady eyes and everything. It's still it's also kind of off-putting. It's just an off-putting puppet because it's so crudely done as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, all right, but I like it. It's fantastic how gross it is. But what's even more amazing is how apparently all the ladies on this team want to get with this rat.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's the best part, but like, wait a minute. But I do like how the one girl who like she's doing everything. She's hiking up the chowder buckets before the video conference call, so he'll notice and everything. Later on, because she calls back and finds him in bed with a woman, and she's like, "Oh, I can't believe this. This is no good." She talks to another lady Power Ranger, and just goes like, "I can't believe it. He's in bed with another woman. This is beyond me." And it is at that point that she just goes, "Oh yes, he is a rat. And how will you do anything with him if you were together?" She's just like, "Well, like if you can't have sex with this rat." And she's just like, "Well, I mean, I've never done anything before, so I don't really." She's like, "Yeah, but you've kissed somebody, right?" It's like, "Yeah, I've done that." Well, imagine if you're kissing this rat, wouldn't that be gross? And then her thought was, "Oh yeah, I guess I never really thought about it."
I never thought it all the way through, is what she says. There was a real missed opportunity with this movie, which is that the black guy kept trying to tell his story, right? And then it just kind of goes away. But what would have been great is he's about to tell his story and it constantly gets cut off with the other stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the very end of the movie, it's his turn to tell a story. And just as he's about to start talking, the movie ends. That would have been great.
Well, you know where they could have put it? They could have put it in, and there was one, in the after credit sequence.
I saw the after credit.
Yeah. If they would have put that there where he just goes like, "Okay, here's my story," and then like it either cuts to black or goes nuclear and they go back in time, whatever right. To stop him for that last little thing. You're right. That would have been a great button for the entire movie there. Just having that last like, "Hey, here's my joke. No, or my story. No, your story is no good."
You know what this movie really reminds me of? The first time I saw Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yes.
Like now, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, you know what that is. Everybody knows what that is. Everyone's seen multiple episodes of that show. But when the very first time I saw it, I was disappointed because they don't actually do anything.
No, there's
They're
not a
always
lot.
in their house.
Not a lot that goes on. Not a lot of
Right.
not a lot of set changes and
Right. They're
fantastical
always in their
stories.
they're always in their terrible, awful, dumpy house.
4
And-
locations.
Right. And that's the joke. And so at first, thanks to Aqua Teen Hunger Force, the joke of this movie is that they really only fight one guy in
Yeah.
the entire movie, and it's at the top of the movie. And so it kind of grew on me, I guess, because I really wanted to see them fighting giant monsters, but that never happens.
Yeah,
And-
not for a long stretch, but you have like the one flashback,
But that's a
kinda on an
video.
iPad.
It's a
yeah.
video they're watching.
But, yeah, exactly. But they're not doing it. No, not within the movie itself. So like even then, you see some, but that's not going on right now. That's more or less them just kind of showing it to this little girl, going, "Here's what we do. See, we fight this cockroach monster."
Right. And I do like when you're watching the video with that girl who is twice as creepy as anyone else in this movie, and they rip off that monster's face, and she's like, "That's just a guy in a rubber suit." It's so funny.
They brush her off like, "Hey, listen, you don't know, like you know what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about,
Just
little girl.
Shut up." We're aware of all that, but you don't think that that's still an important thing that we got to fight this guy, huh? You think about that.
You know, I mean, there's good moments in this movie, but the thing that really recommends it is that you have no idea what's going to happen from scene to scene, and I really enjoy that, especially since we are on a superhero movie podcast where everything is beat by beat
Yeah.
all the time, and so to have something where literally you have no idea, like what we're at a farmhouse now, like what are we doing at this farmhouse? These like people are telling each other stories, and we flash to the stories because really, like you said at the top of the show, you know, this is something where it's basically a campfire stories movie, but just surrounded by the crap of a Power Rangers ripoff,
Yeah.
French Power Rangers ripoff, which I find interesting. Like that is interesting to me. It doesn't make for a great movie. I will say that. Like this isn't something where like somebody goes, "Hey, what have you seen recently that's really great?" I wouldn't recommend this movie, but it's something where I'm like, I'm really glad I saw this.
Yeah, you can't recommend this to most people because they're not gonna understand. They're gonna get to the end and they're gonna be like, "Well, why did I just waste 90 minutes watching that?" Because
Right.
it doesn't go really much of anywhere, and that's kind of the point, though. But again, it's following that kind of that really is grown huge over the last couple of years is kind of the anthology film and stuff, and
Yes.
a lot of people don't think about that, but between your VHS
Trick or treat,
Trick or Treats, the ABCs of Death, there's oh gosh,
VHS.
there's a couple more. Oh, I forget what the name of that was. There was one they did on Joe Bob Scare Stories, something like, I forget what it is. But there's it's coming. It's like there's a lot of these things out there, and you don't see it in the superhero realm, which I thought was fun. Even though those aren't necessarily superhero stories in the flashbacks per se. But
I think it's almost false advertising. What this movie is,
because
they really aren't. They aren't doing that, and maybe the best joke in the movie is at the end, where there is a giant supervillain who is going to destroy the world from another dimension, and he ends up getting murdered by his wife and his kid
because they hate him. They're just like,
because they don't like him.
he's terrible. We want him out of here, so we're going to poison him at dinner. Oh, guess what? It turns out the apocalypse is off. Sorry.
It's such a weird, funny turn, and then credits roll, and it's just so strange.
Oh, you know who I just realized that the lizard people look like? They look, well, yeah, but I guess this is also at the same time too. They look like the people in Troll when they get taken over by the. You've never seen
I've
the.
never
Oh well, do yourself a favor and see one of Sonny Bono's best performances.
I don't believe you. I think that he's amazing in everything he's done,
And
especially Airplane.
And only the second best Julia Louis-Dreyfus performance.
Get out of here. She's in the first Troll
She is
movie?
in the first Troll movie with Sonny Bono. They share a scene together. It's
Well,
kind
now
of
I'm watching this movie.
Well, and you get to learn the history of Harry Potter. That's the main character's name, Harry Potter and Harry Potter Jr. I kid you not.
Wow.
It's it's a classic for a reason. Or was that Troll 2? No, that one's Troll 1. Or am I thinking of the Troll 2 faces? Maybe they're, I don't know. The people with crap on their face, they look like they were from the Troll movies. Maybe it was both of them. Who's to say? Anyways, this movie is like, I had fun with it, but I think you're right. I think if we had more of that kind of Power Rangers element and they were at least fighting somebody in between each of the stories and that like kind of led to another story or something.
Right.
Like maybe that would work. Or if in some way they were tangentially related, those stories then to those characters, and we saw those characters within, bloody situations or whatever, that might bring it into I don't know, because we're going, it's so far afield, but then again, those probably would be the types of stories that those people would tell, I guess. I don't know.
I guess, but it's one of the, I don't think that that's the point of this movie. I really don't know what the point of this movie is. Like, generally, I can tell what they're trying to tell me.
It's contractually 90 minutes is what the movie is.
But with this one, I really can't tell what they're trying to tell us. I get the smoking allegories and stuff like that, and like the Americanism of all that stuff. Like, I get that part. But that's not really what this movie is about. And so I can't figure out, like, what are you trying to tell me, dude? And I kind of like the fact that I don't really know.
Okay. All right. Let's think about it from one, or at least one standpoint, because the only one that I'm thinking about that just kind of sticks out as like kind of a theme, I guess, and maybe we can see if it kind of relates to the other ones, is the Thresher one, right?
Uh-huh.
So, is that the kind of theme of that more or less blindly going forward, no matter what, even if you know those consequences are bad, but you're going there anyway. You think you know what you're doing, but truth of the matter is you really don't. Even you'll try to make the best out of this bad situation, but at the end of the day, it's gone, it's over, and it's just a bucket of crap that a dog picked up and ran away with.
Mm-hmm.
And now, can that be applied to any of the others? Just that kind of like going.
No.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like,
not really.
There's no.
I mean, it's funny because the visions, like the visuals that they show you with the Thresher scene, it kind of takes over the rest of the movie after you see it, right? Like I barely remember the other anthology stories in this movie because that one is so visually stunning. There's something about a guy stuck in a thresher. There's something about a mouth and a bucket of blood. Like, all of these things are interesting to look at.
Smoking a cigarette, the look.
Smoking a cigarette and then having to puke.
I thought that was an amazing touch. I was like, wow. Because, first of all, it's a tough thing to do special effect-wise, to figure all that out and to shoot it out there by the side of the road and stuff. So that's actual work. But it's a story thing that makes sense, and it's really, I thought that was super clever for them to do. And then the whole thing leading up to it, here it comes, we're finally gonna and whoops, it's just great love, and that's most of the stories too are also just shaggy dog tales. I think that's really what they all share in common.
It really is just kind of wasting time.
I mean, they literally get to the point where like that the story with the Thresher kid ends, and then they go, "What happened?" Well, the story ends because the fish that is telling it, that's currently in the middle of being
dies.
Cooked, dies.
It's really it's really.
They're like, "Nope, they ended that story. We're going. We're moving on to the next thing. Shut up." You're like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing now. Fine.
So, man, I've got to read this because here is one of the reviews on IMDb of this movie, and this person hates this movie.
I can't imagine.
Their screen name is Blue Velvet 002.
Oh boy.
And this is from April 2nd. If you want a movie that is weird to the point where you're wishing you were reading a 700-page Bertrand Russell, and then in parentheses, he was a philosopher, mathematician, and smoker, in parentheses,
Ooh.
book, instead, then put this film in front of you. Otherwise, I find the film's supposed hilarity that so many viewers think it definitely possesses about as brilliant as a dog's critique of The Great Gatsby.
Woo! Take
How are
that.
people finding this film a good way to pass the time? How are reviewers enjoying even 5 minutes of such detritus? They give this gory and unfunny piece of art the time of day? I tried to give Smoking Causes Coughing a chance, despite the maddening weakness enveloping the whole thing. However, I walked out of the movie theater Oh, wow. This is weird. However, I walked out of the movie theater following about an hour and 10 minutes of viewing. I'm surprised I sat in front of it as long as I did. Weak.
You made it 5 more minutes and you'd have made the credit scene, lady.
And it would have been done, right. And they gave it 1 out of 10 stars.
Don't worry, it all wraps up real well in that last scene. That's the best part, is that you left. And really, you didn't miss a thing.
You didn't really miss anything at
You
all.
literally
You missed the
saw
robot counting down.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
stuck.
That's all. You knew what was going to happen. And you know what? You're one of those people that stood up, like, you're always at the theater. I hate those people that, like, you can feel like the last, like, 2.5 minutes of the movie rolling up, and then somebody just kind of stands up and kind of starts making their way half down the steps and everything. Ugh, you people are the worst. I feel like there'd be this person was that guy during this, just going like, all right, here we go, and then they're just going, I'm walking out of here, bye. Couldn't get to the car fast enough.
I've never had somebody walk out of a movie that I was in and then yell stuff that's as they're walking out. I've never had someone do that before.
Oh.
I'm sure you have. I mean, you worked in movie theaters. That's had to have happened.
Oh, I had it way happen before then. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, me and my buddy go in, and like 3 guys came in, like maybe 5 minutes into the film. Not even that long, like right at the beginning. So Chow Yun-fat's talking to Michelle Yeoh. It's like the first 5-6 minutes of that movie is talking. And I don't think these guys knew what they were coming in to see. So they sit down, and they're just, the two of them are having a conversation at the table, and I see this one guy. He's just he's bouncing back and forth in his seat a little bit, and I'm just like, uh-oh, look at this guy. And then he just, he stood up and out loud at this screen, pointed at it, and said, F this, I'm out, and then just walked out. Then he came back in 30 seconds later and got his buddies and demanded that they leave, and then they left, and then they never saw Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like, you didn't even wait to get to any action scenes. They were just like, this is a whole bunch of reading. No, thank you. Bye. They just left. They just screamed F you to the theater and then just left. It was great.
Well, I mean, those guys were, they thought they were seeing something else. But like the person who wrote the review of this movie, like, they must have not known a single thing about it before they walked into it, is all I can figure. Because, I mean, if you watch a trailer for this movie, it tells you what it is.
I also think the poster could kind of give you at least a bit of an inkling that this is a bit of a ballyhoo.
Have you seen the French version of the poster where they all have big heads?
No. Now,
it's really funny. It's a really funny movie poster.
Okay.
Oh shoot, that guy we were talking about earlier, the oldest Power Ranger, the one that we're like, he had to have been in something. He's in Tell No One, which is a great movie. I love that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
But a couple things I wanted to point out that was that I thought was fun. The lady in the fridge. That's another one where you're just like, what's this? What is this all about? Why is it here in this movie? Why did you spend all of that money to make that set, put this lady in it? We hired her. We did all of this work and for what?
And as somebody who's had to do it before, it ain't easy to cut out the back of a refrigerator.
It's like I also do like how the lady's just like, he's like, hey man, you got any sleeping pills? She's like, oh, we don't have any of that. It's like, listen, maybe you want to get a drink, just talk about something. She's just like, you ain't getting none of this, boy. And he's like, do you think that he wanted to get a little bit of the
I think that he backtracked on it later because he wanted to seem like a nicer guy, but he was totally trying to scam her.
Well, he was
For
gonna
sure.
he was gonna see if he could at least, I mean, she's the fridge lady, what else she doing? She's just hanging out. I figure, hey,
Yeah.
that's
But she's got higher standards than that guy, which is great.
the guy that just comes in here. No, get out of here. Oh, and I don't understand. I wish Bruce was here because this feels like this is a Bruce question all day long. What's with the different color underwear for everybody? Is that like it kind of like this person's your ensign, that's your first
I don't
mate?
know. My guess is more like the way that the cartoon Ninja Turtles are, where they all
Ah.
have different color headbands so you can differentiate them.
Just look at his crotch. You'll know which one he is.
I mean, geez, it's pretty easy.
Oh, and just a quick tip to anybody out there: if any of your loved ones try to feed you a soup that they say is galactic and it just looks like gray paint, maybe don't eat the gray paint.
It's poison.
Like I'm just like, well, of course you're dead. You ate latex paint. That's what they just poured in some grandma's candy dish.
It
and
sure
you
just
drank
looked
that
like
down.
some straight up oil-based paint. It
Just
really
like,
did look like that.
Just drink it up. It's good and nutritious for you if you have that kind of lizard face thing going on. But yeah, I do enjoy that. I thought that was one of maybe the first time that I've ever seen that of having the henchman's or the evil guy's wife and son murder them
Murder the bad guy. It's
With-
pretty great.
with soup, no less. And then they just high five, and then it's all over.
High
there's,
five.
There's no other plan, no other. Just like I think he's doing it the wrong way, and we need to kill more people or something. No,
That's
no.
literally the
It's just
to
we're
me that was,
stopping.
to me that was literally the best joke in the movie because it's the only joke in the movie where like it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't come out of left field. What comes out of left field is the high five at the end, but like the fact that they do that he just gets poisoned by his not by the wait staff or any of that. It's literally his wife who poisons him.
And
It's great.
in a fantastic minimalist black cyclorama set that just spared no expense. It's
It's
just
pretty great.
just straight black in the background. It's just like you don't know where this is, and never you mind where it's at. Shut up and look at the thing. That
It's
we put in
another
the foreground.
dimension. How do we know what that looks like?
Yeah, that's what might be what that looks like on their planet. You don't know. You ain't been there. What do you know about anything? You've been to space? I don't think so. But you know who might have been to space, and he might relate back 1-to-1 with this movie is one Sylvester Stallone.
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Oh.
Good evening, Mr. Stallone. This week's Stallone Connection takes place at the 2019 Cannes Film Festival. 2019 was a big year at Cannes. Parasite won the Palme d'Or. The Lighthouse premiered, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was a big hit, which made Tarantino even more insufferable as he spoke about how important film is. And by the rule of transitive property, he is. But there was another Quentin at Cannes that year. Quentin Dupois. I'll call him Quentin Dupois, who premiered his new movie called Deerskin. Quentin Dupois also happens to be the writer, director, and cinematographer of Smoking Causes Coughing. But back in 2019, he was trying to get a distributor for his new movie, Deerskin. Deerskin would end up being a well-received, well-regarded movie at Cannes, but no one would buy the film. And it's really a shame because at the time of this podcast, Deerskin would turn out to be the most normal movie that man's ever made, which is to say, it's a movie about a man's obsession with his designer deerskin jacket that causes him to blow his life savings and turn to crime. You know, like a normal movie. At that same Cannes Film Festival, you also premiered a new movie you starred in, Mr. Stallone, a movie called Rambo 5. A movie that had absolutely no problem finding distribution and wasn't part of the nominating. It was more of a here's the latest Rambo to see in case you can't get into the screening of Parasite. Mr. Stallone, in case you haven't seen Rambo 5, and who could blame you, the audience is supposed to believe that a 70-year-old man built tunnels below and around his house by himself, and that a 70-year-old man who has done nothing but combat missions for 50 years can still walk without problem and speak in complete sentences and only wants to live the rest of his very short life in peace. Neither film went home with an award from Cannes. However, Deerskin did win Best Film at several other festivals. And while Rambo wasn't well received by audiences or critics, it was nominated for Worst Film of the Year by the Hawaiian Film Critics Society, which is a thing. Who knew? But it also won the Worst Reckless Disregard for Human Life and Public Property Award from the Razzies that year. So at least there's that. By the way, Sly, how much longer are the Razzies going to go on? Is there anyone who looks forward to them going after whichever movie you or Madonna are acting in? Can we as a society quietly put this down, much like we did over 20 years ago with Celebrity Deathmatch? Anyway, the Stallone connection this week is writer, director, cinematographer, and overall true weirdo, Quentin Dupieux. I hope to hear from you soon. Sweet Chauncey from the internet.
I think we could bring back Celebrity Deathmatch. They tried. I think they tried for like a hot second, but it never really.
The joke is over once you see one of them.
Yeah. What a time. What a time we used to live in. Well, here at Hero Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. If you'd like to find out what that is, head on over to reddit.com/r/Hero Movie Pod. It's right there at the top of the screen. Sean, where does smoking causes coughing fall in the Robin rating system for you?
Man, I am at crossroads with this movie because I really want to see more things like this. But my word, this was a strange one. I'm going to go with a low Damian Wayne just because I'm rooting for this movie. I want this movie to I want to see more movies like this, and I don't mean exactly like this, but something where a movie that's taking a chance. I would love to see that. I've as I've said for 1,000 years, a movie that is weird is 1,000 times better than a movie that is boring. And this is not a good movie, but it's not a bad one either. And so I'm going to go low Damian Wayne.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go Damian Wayne on this one as well. Probably a little bit higher than yours, mostly because I knew my viewing schedule, I'd have to, because I needed to watch twice for the show on account of, I purchased it, so it feels like I have to go up a little higher of a grade. You know how that.
I purchased it as well, man.
So you know, when you go to Blockbuster, you're gonna kind of like that movie a little bit more than you probably would have if you would have streamed it on Netflix, because you went out to the store, you made a purchase, you purchased it with money, and then you drove back, and then you watched it, and you got late fees. So you're gonna put a little bit more stank on it. You're gonna like that movie probably a little bit more than it actually deserves because you put in some effort for it. This movie, I just like, I wish there was a little something else that you could grab onto. It's not quite there, but like you said, they made enough of an effort, and there's just something about it that, like I said, we started it and we didn't know what's going on. You don't know where this is going. You may not necessarily dig where it ends, but it's an experience, and it's certainly not like anything else that we've really reviewed on this show. And for that, I feel like we got to give it some sort of credit, you know?
Yeah. And not only that, but the visuals of this movie, you know, when it hits, they hit really well.
The gore is always real good, and that's kind of what you're coming for a little bit, is that
like, really wide shot of the robot going off of the dock, killing itself in the lake. Like, that's a really nice looking shot. I know that sounds so strange, but it really is a great shot.
Also, when the guy goes in, the leader of the pack that then goes in and gets a barracuda out, when he dives in, why doesn't he also just pick out the dead robot that's down at the bottom of the thing with the...
I kept asking that whenever they went into the lake, like the lady walks across the lake at one point, and I'm like, why didn't you just fish that robot out of there? Why is that robot still in there?
They're just like, nope, he's at the bottom. That's where he chose to be. That's where his life's going to end. That's where it ended here, and that's it.
He gone.
We're going further on. We don't even care anymore. We're not gonna R5 you through the rest of the galaxy. No, sirree, Bob. You're at the bottom of that lake.
Or like how like we said earlier, man. Just how interesting some of the shots are. Like the kid in the thresher. Like that is so fascinating to watch. Even if you're just gonna see the one thing, like if you're gonna watch 5 minutes of a movie, see that 5 minutes.
And God bless this lady, because she is like, she's acting this thing absolutely straight, and it's so good. So like she's just nailing the performance, just talking to a set of lips.
Yep.
So good. But yeah, definitely check it out. It's out on VOD now. My guess is it'll probably end up some other streaming services in not too awful long. We don't know what we're doing next week. We haven't really talked about it. It is Sean's turn, so I feel like I'm going to put you on the spot right here now on the show and make you decide.
I want to see Chomps.
Chomps it is. Tell people what Chomps is, just so they get an idea.
Chomps is about a robot dog that saves the world.
You know?
I believe
if you've seen them you've seen them all.
I literally have not watched this movie in 40 years, but I'm gonna guess. I think that Valerie Bertinelli's in it. I think, and I also think that Thurston Howell III is in this movie.
Wow.
I think.
Now
I might be wrong, but I don't think I am.
All right, I got to go Chomps movie because Chomps is actually just a dog treat.
Oh, really?
So, well, see, Chomps actually is CHOMPS.
Yes.
Which stands for, there's no way in hell you know this off the top of your head.
There is no way, man. I couldn't tell you.
Canine Home Protection System.
There you go.
That's a little, that's stretching credulity there, but it is the 80s. So what are you going to do?
What are you going to do exactly?
So we will be reviewing Chomps next week.
Man, this, holy cow. This movie poster. Have you seen the movie poster?
Oh, yeah. I'm
Chomps?
looking at it right now. It's got a dog coming at you.
This is way more than this movie deserves.
The dog's got dynamite in his mouth, for heaven's sake.
I mean, it looks like the dude who does the Star Wars posters.
It's a Drew Struzan all day long, or at least a Drew Struzan knockoff.
My word. Get out of here. Yeah, Conrad Bain is in it. Red Buttons is in it.
Man, if Red Buttons is in it, you know it's going to be classic.
There it is. Jim Backus is in it. Man.
It's available. Awesome. It's available on Tubi right now, it appears. So you don't necessarily have to go and buy the Blu-ray, which is available, by the way. You can get this on Blu-ray. So if indeed you want that. Or MGM DVD as well. Okay, cool. So Chomps it is. Chomps next week, everybody. Until then, Sean, where else can they find more of our work on the internet?
We have got another podcast. That podcast is called The Mandalorian 30Q. And each week we ask 30 questions of the latest episode of The Mandalorian. And this week is no exception. So if you're listening to this still, and I can't imagine why you would.
Why are you here? What's wrong with you?
Please listen to that podcast.
A young man invents a robot dog that has super strength, X-ray vision, and can detect crimes being committed. A greedy businessman tries to steal the invention from him. What a log line. I love it.
Man.
So check out Mandalorian 30 Questions, all that other stuff. We'll be talking about Chomps next week for Sweet Sean's and Kovacs from the internet and the absent Bruce Leslie. I'm Adam Porters. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie. He's the kid from the Land of the Lost, too. The other main. I know.
Now, I'm a feller with a heart of gold, with the ways of a gentleman, I've been told. The kind of a feller that wouldn't even harm a flea. But if me and a certain character met, the guy that invented the cigarette, I'd murder that son of a gun in the first degree. Now, it ain't 'cause that I don't smoke myself, and I don't reckon they hinder your health. I've smoked them all my life, and I ain't dead yet. But nicotine slaves are all the same at a petting party or a poker game. Everything's gotta stop while they have that cigarette. Smoke, smoke, smoke that cigarette. Puff, 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 and if you smoke yourself to death, tell St. Peter at the Golden Gate that you hates to make him wait, but you just gotta have another cigarette. Now, in a game of chance the other night, old Dame Fortune was doing me right. The kings and the queens, they just kept on coming around. Then I got a full and I bet it high, but my bluff didn't work on a certain guy. He just kept on a-raising and a-laying the money down. Now, he'd raise me and I'd raise him. I sweated blood, I got a sink or swim. He finally called and then didn't raise the bet. I said, ace is full, pal, how about you? And he said, well, I'll tell you in just a minute or two, but right now I just gotta have a cigarette.
Smoke, smoke, smoke that cigarette. Puff, 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 and if you smoke yourself to death.
Tell St. Peter at the Golden Gate that you hates to make him wait, but you just gotta have another cigarette. The other night I had a date with the cutest little girl in the 48 states, a hybrid uptown fancy little dame. Now she said she loved me and it seemed to me that things were just about like they ought to be, so hand in hand we strolled down Lover's Lane. She was oh so far from a chunk of ice and our smooching party was going real nice, so help me Hannah, I think I'd have been there yet. But I give her a kiss and a little squeeze and she said, Tex, excuse me please, but I just gotta have another cigarette.
Smoke, smoke, smoke that cigarette. Puff, 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 and if you smoke yourself to death.
Tell St. Peter at the Golden Gate that you hates to make him wait, but you just gotta have another cigarette.